Hey friends of Uganda, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it'll be about 6 or 7 minutes, but it's been a couple months since I've given you an update. Want to share just some things about the school and the church and our boarding section project. But first I want to tell you some things that God is doing. Sadly, a lot of you have had students leave our program because they move back to the village or they're not serious about school. That happens, but we are committed when kids work hard that we're going to do everything we can to help change their life. One of those kids is Kevin Sernjonji. Kevin has been in our program for a long time. This month he's getting a surgery that costs about $1,600. He's had some chronic problems. The sponsor's paying for that. But even more than that, he is starting a 5-year medical degree, bachelor's degree at Makerere University that's going to cost about $4,500 a year. And by God's grace, the sponsors have committed to pay for the whole thing if they're able to do that. Not every sponsor can do that, we totally understand, but his life is going to be completely changed. He's one of our brightest students. Also, Jocelyn Naziwa. If you guys ever saw that old video we put out called Rat Near the Kitchen, she was the main character in that. She's sponsored by Dan and Lori Panter, who Dan is one of our board members. And Jocelyn is going to get a 5-year degree in pharmacy degree, so she can be a pharmacist. And she actually introduced Dan to her friend Madreen. There's Dan with Madreen, and they're also sponsoring Madreen. Madreen even did better as a student than Jocelyn on her final exams this year, getting like a perfect score. She is going to Makerere University to get a secondary divinity education. What that means is she wants to teach theology to high school kids long term. And Dan and Lori could not afford to pay for both of these kids to go to college. I think Ernie and Pat Zabali stepped up and are helping out. And so again, sometimes this happens where you put a kid through high school and you can't afford college. We have some kids that have 3 or 4 sponsors helping them get a college degree. This is Ivan Mwange, who's getting a 4-year degree in hotel management and tourism. He's going to be staying in a hostel, have his food, his meals provided for by Tom and Lori George. He's been in our program. I think they've been sponsoring him for, gosh, I want to say almost 14 years in our ministry, and he's just starting this month. The last one I'll share with you is Brian Maluge. Brian is actually an amazing story because his family's super poor. None of his brothers, he's got like 6 or 7 brothers, they've all kind of dropped out of school. Either they weren't motivated to finish or some of them had sickness. He's the last one in his family, and right now he is starting a 5-year degree in civil engineering. That's his dream. It's going to cost about $2,700 a year. What's most amazing is he didn't have the opportunity to go to a boarding section. He was just in a day school and worked his tail off. And so again, all this to say, when we talk about buildings and we talk about this ministry, it's all about those kids, and children's lives are being changed. And as they get degrees, they're able to help their families and transform a community. So thank you for the difference you're making. Well, you guys know that COVID locked down pretty much the whole country about 4 months ago. Wanted to kind of report to you that the churches were closed until the end of September. This is an old picture from a couple of years ago, but our church has opened. They can only go up to 200 people, but the churches are meeting in person, so we praise God for that. Schools are open. Some students, all the college students are in school. The older students are face-to-face. Some of the younger students, they're doing school at home still, so we're making copies of materials, and the teachers are going to homes or they're coming in so that we can keep up on their education. But the plan is January, okay? Just a couple of months, what is that, 2-3 months from now, schools are supposed to be completely open. Of course, we never can tell. But the biggest thing that we've done, in the last 4 months, we started a boarding section project because we have all these students that some of you are paying for their degree that are going to support other schools. We don't have oversight over their education. So with this vision, we bought this piece of land by God's grace, tore it down, and began constructing our boarding section. This is where kids live while they go to school. They're fed 3 meals a day. They're able to study. We've got 2 full stories done, and actually put another concrete pad on top of the second floor, because when they originally submitted the plans, they have to have the long-term plans. The long-term plans were actually for 4 floors. Now, we're not going to build all 4 floors now because we just don't have the money or time. You know, they've had some building collapses in Kampala this year. You can look it up on the internet. About 5 or 6 buildings have collapsed. So the government has stopped allowing us to occupy a building while it's being built, which makes sense, obviously, to us in America. But that means we have to kind of complete more of this building before our kids can move in. So we're going to stop right now at 2 floors, and we're going to do what we can to get the kids in. Now, here's the good news. Right now, the basic construction of those 2 floors is completed. By God's grace, we have received the full $89,000 that we need to make this happen. $45,000 we've transferred from high school donations that were given to us a few years ago, and just in the last 3 or 4 months, we have raised $44,000 from your donations. So thank you again so much for your generous giving. But this is what we have right now, and as you can tell, we can't move in. We've got about 3 months. In a perfect world, we would be able to move kids in this next term in January, so that the kids will go to our schools. We could oversee their Christian discipleship, as well as the education, and all the money that would come into our ministry instead of us paying these exorbitant fees to other schools to keep your kids in school. Here's the magic number we're praying for right now, another $40,000. Now let me break that down so you can see exactly what it is that we need. First of all, we need to put a concrete floor in on the downstairs. There's 6 rooms. We already have a concrete slab for the second floor, but there's just dirt down there. So we've got to put a concrete floor in. Maybe somebody out there can help purchase the floor for us, or you can give towards that. Next, we need doors, obviously, on these. There are 12 rooms at $280 per door installed, these big, huge metal doors. Kids are going to be living there. We've got to lock the doors and keep them safe. We need $3,360. Next, we need windows. There's 13 windows on each floor. Again, same concept, a little bit more expensive, about $8,300 for all the windows. Now we need electricity. Our school doesn't even have electricity because they meet during the day, and there's daylight in Uganda during the day. But actually, I think some of the school does have electricity, so forgive me but what I'm saying is, in some cases, it's a luxury. But for kids living here overnight, we have to have electricity in their rooms. We need light so that they can see. And again, $9,000 to be able to put electricity in this whole place. And then last but not least, the kids need a place to sleep. We already own 25 of these double-decker beds. And so we would need a total of 60. So take away 25, we need to buy 35 more beds at $275 per bed, and that's where we get our magic number of $40,000. So again, this is so that the kids can move in. It's a huge God-sized project. There's no way that we're going to be able to do this without God working. So we're praying that God will stir someone's heart who's watching this, who has the ability and the heart to give. Long term, and again, that's where we come up with the magic number of 40,000. Probably the only other thing we really need to do is put the permanent roof on it, because as you saw, there's just a metal slab, a concrete slab right now. And that permanent roof will be another $8,500. The other things that we would probably want to build in the future, but to be honest, these are luxuries in Uganda, to put plastering on the wall, to paint the wall. Tiling especially, hardly many buildings have tiling. So I'll throw that number out there just to know that if God stirs someone's heart with the ability, that would complete the entire building. But what we need right now for the kids to move in is that $40,000 figure. So again, if you can help us right now, this is October 16th today as I'm making this video. We can only send about $30,000 a month over there. That's our limit. And so we're praying that we'll have some money to send here in a couple of weeks towards this project. Again, that you can see we're 2 stories up right now. If you want to give, this is where you give, of course, to Restoration Uganda. Make your check payable there to our P.O. Box 254 in Green Acres. Finally, the last thing, some have asked about our mission trip. We want to go back to Uganda. We had our trip canceled in 2020 due to COVID. Right now, we've kind of tentatively set a date of March, but it might be looking towards the fall because things are just still uncertain. We got to wait until the schools are open completely before we can go back. So we'll keep you posted on that. Again, thank you, and God bless you for supporting our ministry.